My name's Kirk Reichert. I've been open about my asexuality since about 2017. To kind of briefly just tell my story and how I kind of figured it out, I was always actively in relationships. I was consistently with, I consistently had girlfriends who I was dating with. And, one of the things that I kind of noticed is that even back when I was a teenager, the relationship would kind of only go so far. There was only so much that I would be able to do or willing to do physically when it came to personal interaction or like sex. And after I graduated college in 2017, it was kind of picking at the back of my brain. For some reason I just started to think about it. And after doing some research, trying to figure myself out, I kind of came to the conclusion that I'm asexual. It's a weird experience kind of coming to accept it. I feel like there's a lot of societal pressure, especially on guys, to be, hyper macho, hyper sexual, always, sex all the time. And I never really felt that I fit that. Like I said, even back when I was in high school, I was never sexually attracted to anybody, whether it be friends that I was with, having girlfriends or girlfriends, like romantic partners that I had. I never had that desire or that drive or that instinct to move beyond certain things, right? And, admittedly, it was kind of a block until I figured it out. Like I said, relationships I would have for months at a time, years at a time, they would kind of reach that point where, the partner's asking for more than I'm able to give, and at the time I didn't know how to communicate what I was. As you can imagine, it made dating quite difficult for a while. One thing that I kind of found out as time went on was there's a lot more asexual people out there than you might think. I'm not currently in a relationship. I actually just got out of a relationship with a non-asexual woman, and again, that while she knew I was asexual, there were some kind of difficulties with sex and all that. And I'm not here to get into that, but I'm just saying that what helps me is, as far as like dating asexually, like I personally, I feel that for me, I can't be with someone who is not asexual. I can't. And again, it's not that I can't perform sexually. I have no instinct. I have no drive to do so. I know that some people say like, oh, your body just knows what to do, and mine never did. So it was like this wall that I only get so far, and then I hit the wall, and I can't do anything beyond that, right? Like I reached that point. But as far as like dating asexually, I find it best just to be open about it. Anytime I meet someone, anytime I put in my profile, first thing I put, asexual male, sex is, not really an option if you're looking to date me. And surprisingly, once I did that, I started meeting more people who identified as asexual. I feel that asexuals are a rather small group of the population, since, that's traditionally what humans have been wired to do. We're wired to, reproduce. So I feel like asexuality is kind of a new-ish term as far as like the LGBT community is concerned. Once I started putting asexual, I actually started meeting a lot of women that were also asexual, but looking for like, a male partner, albeit not a sexual one. So my recommendation, even though I am still currently single, is to just be honest. I know that's really scary, and there are going to be people that don't understand, right? The way that I approach this would be the same way as I approach anything involving like, LGBT community or anything like that, where someone doesn't understand. Well, just explain it, and then they usually get it. I'm fortunate enough where I have an excellent support system of friends who are also part of the LGBT community. Granted, I'm the only asexual, but so it goes. And, with that, there's a lot of solidarity, there's a lot of understanding, And I find that having that type of support group really just helps me not only be happier with myself, but with, dating. Because think of it this way: if you start talking with someone and you start dating, and you say, oh, and then, and they're expecting something, and they're expecting sex, and you tell them kind of not up front, oh, by the way, I'm asexual. Well, I don't want to make it sound like you're wasting that person's time or they're wasting your time. But you probably don't want to be talking with someone who has desires and needs that don't match yours. I know it might be hard to kind of feel that you're not satisfying someone in a relationship. It's a very difficult feeling to kind of handle when the other person is not asexual and there are, needs and desires that they want, which, as a partnership, it's one of those things that is going to be a conversation eventually. I think you'll be surprised at the number of asexuals that you might find. Granted, I kind of feel like asexuality tends to be more of a female or woman on the woman identifying than male. I have not met another man, either in person or online or anything like that, that is also asexual. Maybe a lot more men are asexual, but just don't know it or are afraid to say it or put that information out there. And I get it. The stresses that we have from society telling us that we have to be fucking machines is hard. But personally, I'm the only asexual in my friend group. So growing up in high school and in college too, being surrounded by so many men that were all like, yeah, we gotta have sex all the time, it can be very isolating. But once I figured it out, and I figured out who I was, and I kind of understood, oh, that makes more sense, I felt a lot better. I'm not going to sit here and say that it's the easiest thing in the world to date as an asexual. I know that it does have its fair share of challenges, like I've been talking about, but it is possible. There are definitely people out there that follow with what your needs and goals and wants and desires are. I think it's also best to just put yourself out there. Like with dating, it's all about finding the right person. And if someone's not the right person, don't try and force it. The worst thing you can do is try to lie to yourself and try to not be who you truly are, or try to force a relationship that's not going to go anywhere, because then that could lead to, resentment, or that could lead to cheating. And not saying that this has happened to me personally. I'm just kind of explaining, but that could happen, right? And it's just better to communicate, be upfront, and be honest with yourself and your partner. I feel a lot better knowing myself and being who I am and in my own skin. And once I kind of accepted that, things kind of started falling into place. So I hope my words have been helpful, and yeah.